Hey guys, I'd like to welcome you back to the Kortex Media Podcast, where we navigate the fast-paced world of automotive and more. Here today, I have a special guest, George Osorio, owner of California Collision. George is no stranger to the autobody industry, with a career spanning over 25 years. Since 1995, George has been driven by his enduring passion for cars, taking great satisfaction in transforming damaged vehicles into their original form. He finds immense fulfillment in helping customers through the repair process and witnessing their gratitude towards his team. A lifelong resident of the Tri-Valley area, George is deeply committed to his community, supporting local donation organizations and school districts. With a dedication that goes beyond just business, George lives and breathes cars, making it his pleasure to repair and restore vehicles for his customers. It's great to have you on, George.
Mr. Corson, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm glad to have you here and have this chat with you.
Yeah, likewise, man. Likewise. I'll look forward to it.
Awesome. So, how long have you been in the auto body industry? Obviously, I said 25 years, but I'd like to know a little bit more about the background before coming in the auto body industry.
Yeah.
And
So I'm 47 now. I'm sorry. I just had a birthday. 48. 48 now, and I've been doing this since I was 19. And this is all I know how to do, man. I literally started doing this out of my parents' garage at their home in Livermore, California. And I literally went over and I realized I could do a little side job working at that time. It was mini trucks. It was the era and really popular amongst my generation. And I realized I could do doing the side work, like working out of my parents' garage. I remember I used to grab visqueen and put visqueen on the walls and steal my mom's house fans and put them in the garage and wet the floors. And I would do some, painting and then minor body work there and lowering of cars and raising up of vehicles. And I think that's kind of where I got the bug. That's where I got the entrepreneurial spirit and start in it. And I realized I could make more money in a weekend doing little side jobs than, working all week long or 2 weeks long. At that time, it was auto parts store. It was called Grand Auto. And I just realized right then and there I could make more money doing that. And then, like I said, a passion of loving cars, you know what I mean? And so I think that's what propelled me to get in the curiosity to get into the auto body business, and being the fact that, like I said, I couldn't afford a nice car. My first car was a 1970 Datsun 200 SX with 3 different colors of primer. And I used to park the thing like 2 blocks away from high school. I was so embarrassed to be seen in the thing, you know what I mean? But hey, at that time, that was independence, man. That was freedom. You at least had a car. So
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and then moving fast forward, I went over and worked on cars, and most people that go over and come to this country, their dream is to own a slice of the American pie, or dream, which is to open up your own business. And my father was, very, I think, more motivated for me to open up my own business, to open up a business. But the thing about it is, I was always really good working with my hands and dealing with people in school, but books was not necessarily my thing. And so I think I went more to school to party and meet girls than to really learn something, which I kind of regret now. Maybe I should have focused a little more attention. But so we opened up a shop in 1995, 1996. We opened up a shop in San Mateo. It was called Junior's Autobody. And that was my first crack at owning a body shop. I did, again, a small business owner, knew nothing about, as far as, how to open up a business. And I really got in over my head. I went over and I remember opening up I believe it was like a 2,800 square foot location, had no office, had no bathroom, had no plumbing, no electrical. And I negotiated a 6-month lease. They gave me 6 months free. And I thought that, oh man, this is easy. I'll just be able to go over and put up my own office and put up my own paint booth. And little did I know that, the requirements in order to put those things up with city permits and whatnot was way more overwhelming, way more costly than 6 months rent.
Definitely.
But lo and behold, we made it work. We were it came to a point where I started actually to exhaust my funds. I didn't have enough money to get a paint booth permit. So what I would do is I would do body work by day, which it was illegal to do, and at nighttime I would grab those black garbage bags and put them on the window so you couldn't see it. And we do painting by nighttime because we didn't have enough money to afford a paint permit at that time. So we kept humming along like that for probably about a year or so till we were able to raise up enough money to get all the requirements that in order it requires you to have a paint booth, the fire suppression system, the electrical, the permits and whatnot. And we started humming along and started, opening up, started doing bodywork and paint for the public. We did that, worked with rental companies. We did a lot of rental work, which seemed great at the time, but it's a lot of volume for low pay. Doing some customer pay work, but like most small business owners, I knew how to do the work, but I didn't understand how to run a business. Meaning I didn't understand if you told me, hey, are you guys making money this month? Do you understand your profit and loss statement? Do you understand your balance sheet? Do you understand how to job cost? Do you understand the gross profit your business should be hitting, your overhead costs? I didn't know none of that. I knew how to do a real nice paid job, bodywork. I could talk to anybody, and that only takes you so far. And what happens is, if you any small business that has experienced that has gone through the ups and downs of cash flow problems, work going in, getting busy, then being really slow, putting in late hours. So I did that song and dance for about 5.5 years. And I got frustrated because at that point I couldn't even afford to move out of my parents' house. I was still living at my parents' house, commuting from Livermore to San Mateo, which is about a 45 to an hour minute ride every single day, working long hours, putting stress on my health, stress between me and my family. And so after 5 years, we sold. And I went to then go work for a MSO at that time here in California. I was opening up like gangbusters, a place called M2 Collision. And they're opening up M2 Collision. They're opening up all over the place. And so I worked for those guys for a short period of time for a few years and realized this was my experience of working for a large franchise MSO multi-shop owner. And I understood then what was it like to have a DRP experience when insurance companies and body shops have direct contracts and how that correlates. So I did that song and dance with those guys for about 2 years. And then I literally left to go work for a union body shop, only to be notified that 2 weeks later, this body shop was closed down by the IRS for tax evasion. And you're talking, I think at that point, they maybe had 28 or 32 locations, maybe even more. And they literally had put chains on the doors because they were going over, they were not paying their taxes. And so you had customers, you had thousands of customers that had jobs half left undone. You had bodymen and painters couldn't even get their tools out because they were chained to the doors were chained. So I dodged that bullet, and I went to go work for a union body shop, and then I went to go work for a high-end body shop that worked on a lot of high-end cars. So I've run my run of the gamut of working at different sizes and different types of body shop structures.
Experiencing new things.
That's awesome. You learn, you learn at those things, each one of those shops, you learn something new. And then I just had that dire itch that if I could ever open up my shop again with the things that I've learned, I think it would be a valued asset. The day that you die, you never look at all the things you've accomplished. You look at the things that you should have, would have, could have done and regret not doing. And so I've always been I've learned, and it's been my philosophy. I've adopted this philosophy that, it's better to have tried and failed than not to try at all. You know what I mean? And so we went over and we opened up California Collision in 2010. My wife and I, we opened up 2010 with literally $10,000. We at that point, our credit was smashed at that point because when 2008 hit, I did have some investment properties because I did dabble with real estate mortgages for a few years as well too. And our credit was smashed. So we opened up a shop, California Collision, in 2010. My wife and I, and the landlords literally gave me a chance, but they literally had me sign over my title or my interest in my two vehicles as collateral. And I had to take over the existing owner's body shop with 6 months back debt. And that under those conditions, they were willing to sell me, allow me to rent the place.
Yeah.
So So we went over, and I remember they gave me one chance. They gave me one chance. They said, "Hey, listen, what makes you think that you're going to make it? You're surrounded by body shops, and if you actually look up California Collision, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 large MSOs within less than a quarter-mile radius." So at that point, they're like, "What makes you think that here you're opening up a shop? there's all these large players around you, this is not your area. And what makes you think you're going to succeed? And, I very confidently, I showed him my business plan, and I told him, listen, man, you ain't never met a hustler like me, man. Just give me one chance. Give me one chance. Let me show you what I could do, and I'll blow the doors off this place. The gentleman sitting next to me, which was the previous owner, he's done. He already has his company in LLC. You've already got a lien against his equipment. So what do you go? You're not going to get nothing out of that. You're not going to squeeze blood from a turnip. So at least take your gamble on me. And so I remember them talking in their native language, and they gave me a chance. And like I said, we went over and we grew from 2 employees at the time to prior to COVID, we grew it up to 18, and I think we're down now to 15 with same awesome. Employees, because we're running a leaner crew now. So what's name? But it's been one hell of a ride, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It's opened up opportunities and relationships for me that I never would have dreamed of. It's allowed my family and I to live in a nice area. You know what I mean? And so I'm truly, I'm blessed, brother. Every day I wake up, man, while my car's warming up, I'm saying a quick prayer, and I'm saying thank you to the man upstairs for everything that we've had, from the pillow I put my head onto to the roof over my head to my family and my health, and it's been a great ride.
That's great, man. I love the grind, and just what you put yourself through to obviously get the experience that you needed to become this shop owner that can make a change in an area, especially with a shop that wasn't doing very well.
Yeah.
Just put your foot down, and you made changes. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So my next question was going to be speak a little bit about the beginning of California Collision, but what's the inspiration behind it? What was the inspiration that you wanted to open up obviously take over the shop? And make changes.
Yeah. So I've asked several business owners, because I belong to different networking groups. I belong to like network groups like BNI, my local chamber, Hispanic chamber. I've been part of Rotary for several years as well too. So I belong to so many different network groups, and I like networking and talking with people. And I've always asked people, why is you going to business for yourself? And you'll get different answers, but it all leads back to 2 key points. It leads back to the fact of, as far as to give you the financial freedom to do what you want, and the time to do what you want. When those are the 2 things that it comes down to, as you get into business, like, oh man, I'm going to business for myself. I'm going to make a lot of money, and I'm going to go over and have a lot more time. I have employees work for me. And then you realize, because you haven't had the proper training or coaching, that you start working way longer hours for the same or less money than when you had a regular job. And it's because, unfortunately, nobody's taught us finances. Nobody's taught us how to look at a business. So I remember, I think my 4th or 5th year into business, I got into different coaching organizations. That's helped me hone into my skills and look at my numbers, and it's helped me grow the business dramatically. I know when we first started, like I said, we started out of let's see, what was it? About 4,000 square foot shop, about 4,200 square foot shop, and with, like I said, 2 employees. We grew it to now a little over 8,000 square feet. And we got, like I said, now 15 employees, and we're probably doing about 65, 70 cars a month. Our gross sales generated between $320,000, $360,000 a month. And, our gross profit, we try to hit a 60% gross profit is what we attain to hit our goals for. But we strive to create a culture at our business that's unlike any other corporate industry. Part of it is, the work schedule that we have, the family environment that we have. And I really see that lacking in the corporate industry nowadays. And so, as long as you can offer that to your employees with good pay scale and opportunity incentives, it's very useful in retaining employees and not being poached by other organizations.
Definitely, and that's one of the biggest industry trends right now in automotive. The automotive as a whole is the shortage of skilled technicians in automotive as a whole. So how do you foster a positive work environment, and what initiatives have been successful in maintaining a high employee morale?
So we do a couple things. As far as going over and recruiting people, I have relationships established with my local ROP teachers at Livermore Granada High School. ROP stands for Recreational Occupational Programming. And so they do have a program for autobody and paint and automotive mechanic. So
Hmm.
I will regularly go there on a quarterly basis. I'll bring in donuts or breakfast burritos to the kids, whatnot. They always love, food and whatnot. And so, and I'll come in and kind of just show them some cool videos and some stuff that's going on in the industry and what's coming down the turnpike. Not to mention, I'll
Yeah,
also donate to my local high school. So I have a very good
that's amazing.
relationship with my teacher. So, and so at that point, some of the kids that go over and say, "Hey, listen, straight out of high school, I want to start working, man. I don't want to go to school. This is what I like." We
Yeah,
have an apprenticeship program that we'll offer them, and it's allowed us so far 3 candidates to grow them from knowing absolutely very little about automotive to growing them into journeyman technician. So
that's
we've done
awesome.
that. To when you said culture, I recall it was about a few years ago. My wife and I, we like to go. We have a couple of classic muscle cars, and we like to go to a place here along the coast. It's called Half Moon Bay, and we're at
Hmm.
this restaurant there. It's called Half Moon Bay Brewing Company. So we're sitting there and we're having a couple of drinks and just enjoying the weather. And like, man, this is great to be here on a Wednesday morning. Everybody's grinding, going to work, and here we are, blessed to be able to have this nice, breakfast with a couple of drinks. Like, what if I could offer this to my employees? What if I could
Yeah,
give them a taste of freedom and for some guys that's more time for their with their family. For my older technicians, for my younger technicians, an extra day to recover from a hangover. So it's but either way, man, it's they go back and they brag to their friends and family about it, like, yeah, we work 410s. What? So you guys off every Friday through Sunday? Every Friday through Sunday. And so at
that's
that point,
awesome.
they brag to their friends about it. Any events that we have at the shop where we're celebrating somebody's birthday, shop lunch, that kind of stuff, we'll put on social media because then our technicians will also post it on their social media, which therefore draws traffic to the attention to the shop for not only
Yeah,
potential
for sure.
clients, but for people looking to work as well too.
For sure, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know myself I work as a truck and coach technician here in Ontario, and just anything your boss does for you to just kind of up your mood. Like the Fridays off, that's amazing. Like to
Yeah.
have obviously a day to yourself, and I'm guessing you let your guys work in the shop if they have a project or anything.
Oh yeah. 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 They
Oh
want to say,
yeah,
hey, listen,
that's like
I want to change the bumper of my car, or hey, I want to put this lift on my truck. Yeah, yeah, go ahead. And
yeah,
you're absolutely right. You said something very important. Being that you're a former technician, morale is huge.
yeah,
My manager's trained every morning to go out and talk to my technicians and just see how they're interacting. Hey, how's the weekend?
yeah.
Oh man, it was great. This and that. And if we find a technician that he's very low tone, very low morale, we'll try to bring up the spirits. If we
That's
see it
great.
across the shop that we see the morale just kind of not there, my manager's trained to stop production, and we do what's called morale game. And
Yeah,
it can be anything from as goofy as a dartboard to like grabbing quarters and seeing who rolls the quarter closest to the edge of the wall. And we'll do first prize wins $100, second prize wins $50.
that's
We'll like
amazing.
just stuff like that to bring up the morale, and then we go back to
Yeah,
work. You know
that's
what I mean?
great.
Yeah. So yeah, we call it morale games at California Collision.
I love how you are always looking out for your employees. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Especially
yeah,
especially go getting your manager to go out and speak to them every single morning. Like that's huge. Say you had a rough night and you're just feeling tired the morning of coming into work. You don't wanna bust your ass working while feeling like shit, and then you're in a bad
yeah,
headspace. And as long if you
yeah.
come in and your manager says, "Hey, how's it going? Good morning," and you get a good conversation in, that can set the tone for a day just right there.
100%.
That's
100%. And
amazing.
then if at that point we've had where we had one of our guys who's going through marital problems, and we just sent them home. Hey, listen, go home, fix your problems, man. Go talk it
Yeah.
out. We gave him our 2 cents worth of advice, and he was able to fix it. And really actually came back later on that day to work and thanked us for it.
Oh, that's
Corporate would have
awesome.
been like, I don't give a shit. Get back to work. It's your problem. You're paid. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
this guy actually realized that we cared about him. He went and fixed things with his wife. Came back, was like, man, you don't even know how much like that saved my marriage and that. So
That's
those are
amazing.
the things, like I said, is good culture and good morale at the shop.
I think that's one of the biggest things with just the trades in general is just having someone that you can speak to one on one and actually understand instead of having someone corporate, like you said, just kind of no, you can't do this, you can't do that. If you have someone one on one that can understand your issues, understand your challenges, because everyone goes through challenges, it's just part of life. And
Yeah.
if you can
Yeah.
understand it and help them
Well, yeah,
overcome
in
their
order for it to
challenges, that's
work for the
amazing.
technician as well as the shop, there has to be a mutual understanding. Like, what are your goals? What do you want
Yeah,
to do? Do you want to get these certifications? Are you looking to make a certain amount of money? Do you want a certain amount of time off? Do you maybe someday want to open up your own business? So
yeah,
in theory, if I help you accomplish your goals, and I'll do what I can to help you as far as hit your goals, you help me hit my goals. It's a mutual relationship works,
It's a
and both
win-win.
parties agree. Yeah, win-win for both parties, 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So as a car guy myself, do you guys focus more on the restoration builds or do you focus more on the collision side of things?
I would say mainly collision. We
Mainly
don't do
collision.
no more restoration work. We we did at first the first few years because again I love old school cars. I mean I love muscle cars. I love hot rods and low riders and
Yeah.
4x4s, old classic K5 Blazers and Broncos. I mean I just love them all because again when I was younger I could never afford those, and now I'm
Yeah.
in a different financial position where I can. But like I said, those are the fun things. And actually, one of my older technicians loves working on older cars. But we won't do no more restorations. We'll still do collision work, even for some of those older cars,
Hmm.
which most shops, I find most of the shops nowadays are kind of timid or scared of working those type of vehicles that due to lack of training and not knowing how to charge for those types of operations.
Yep.
But I would say majority of our work is insurance work. I would say majority of our work is insurance work, but steadily, very fast, believe it or not, customer pay work has been creeping up a lot.
That's
I,
awesome.
I, I, I attribute that to the insurance. You're in Canada, so in
In
California
Canada,
here,
yeah.
we had for the last several months, last year, we had insurance pulling out of here like gangbusters. They were pulling
Hmm.
out of California and other states as well too. New York, I'm trying to remember where else it was, but they're pulling out, and so they're pulling out, and therefore, which therefore now is left the consumer with a lot of uncertainty and
Hmm.
scared that hey, if I file a claim, are my premiums going to go up? Is my insurance going to drop me?
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
literally had a guy come the other day with a Ford Raptor. He had damage to his front bumper and a little bit to his fender, and his $7,200 job, and the guy paid for it out of pocket. Did not want to go through
That's
insurance.
amazing.
You
That's
know what I
great.
mean? And so on a customer pay job, it's more profitable. You don't wait for insurance approval. And
Yeah.
so I think as body shop owners, we should not shy away from that. If anything, we should welcome it because I would much rather, even if I have to give a minor discount to a customer, I would much rather deal with that than deal with insurance companies sitting there trying to haggle with me on the price, parts,
Definitely.
labor. You know what I mean? So
It's definitely nicer dealing with the consumer itself rather than the insurance
all
company,
day long, man. All day long.
especially on your end. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
share a little bit more about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture? Like obviously
Yeah,
we
yeah.
talked about how you're always looking out for your employees, but what's a typical day look like for you?
So right now, I'm currently had to dive back in there, roll my sleeves up, and help as an estimator slash service advisor.
That's
we
awesome.
we went over. I'm helping out, and we hired a new customer service rep, and eventually I'm going to start training her to replace me. My job is mainly, like I said, I'm CEO. I have my manager of operations, Alan, who runs the show.
Hmm.
Ideally, the shop is designed to have two estimators, a customer service rep, a parts manager. We have right now currently three technicians in the back, a painter. We have a prepper who's hybrid, who's part prepper and polisher, and then we have a
Hmm.
full-time polisher detailer. That's what we have at the shop right now. But right now, like I said, I had to jump back in there and help out with as far as because we were shorthanded as far as in the estimating department. Not to mention that, like I said, we've probably experienced the last 3 months a real slowdown. And it's not just us. I network with shops across the United States, and
Yep.
it's quiet everywhere. Unless you got something that's that deer season or hail or something like that, man. The rest of us, it's quiet. It's quiet right now. And so
Definitely.
therefore, like I said, when something like that happens, even like I said, at my age and as long as I've been doing this, my mentality is like all hands on decks at this point, and we all
Yeah.
hunker down and at this point start finding different ways on how to get business in the door. I can
Yep.
do two things. I can do two things, Carson. I can go over at that point and just sit on my thumbs and accept the reality of the outcome is okay. It's slow right now. People are scared of what the narrative is in the news. I could accept that and very much felt well, you just kind of it is what it is. Or I could say you know what, screw that. I'm going to go over. I'm going to find work elsewhere. I'm going to find different ways on how to muster business in here. Go at
Find
that
some
point network,
customers.
bang on doors, phone calls, follow up on estimates. Network with
That's
insurance
awesome.
agents and whatnot, and get work in the door.
So you're back to the model of when you started off, saying that you were going to be successful by running this company. Like you just knew, and you're still running that same business model. Even if things are slow, you're still working hard to get the
Yeah.
customers through the door. That's great. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. If
So
you go over, man, in business, brother, I don't care if you're making bread or you're fixing cars, man. If you offer an outstanding quality of service for your customers, that's more important than the quality repair. Because on
definitely.
how you treat the customer nowadays is huge. It's very
Hmm.
huge. If you go over and you offer that quality, just that wow red carpet VIP, like you show empathy in your customer situation, um, that goes a long ways. Because most corporate structures, while right now they're downsizing and
Yeah.
consolidating, being acquired by bigger companies, what they do is corporate's mentality is we're going to downsize, expect the same kind of result. Now the employee is overwhelmed, underpaid, and is just doing it like miserable, just doing bare
Yeah.
bones minimum. And that energy and that attitude passes on to the consumer. So if you go over as a small business owner, offer world-class service, corporate can't compete with that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There is there's a, in the book is called Art of War.
Yep.
There's this one part on there where he states, the gentleman states on the author, that if you're large, you use your size and to intimidate your opponent. Yeah,
Hmm.
if you're small, you're quick, you're agile. Use your speed to outmaneuver your opponent. So at that point, capitalize on your strengths and delegate your weaknesses out. And so that's the one thing, like I said, as a small business owner, you can be more intimate, more personal with your customers to get that relationship established. So even if the insurance company tries to steer them away, they'll still come to you. You know what I mean?
That's great. I love that. It's a great quote. That's amazing. I don't know what to say. That was that was a good explanation.
It's all good, man.
I I think like that's a great point. Is that being a smaller company, you're more one on one with the customer. You're just more sincere with the customer. Where at corporate, it's all a lot of it's done. You're talking to this person, you're talking to that person, then you're talking to this person. We're a small
Yeah,
business. You're talking with one person. Everyone's happy to talk to you, and they're just happy to get to have the conversation and talk with the customer like that. Especially
yeah.
with the
We
way that you run your business, your employees are you up the mood of your employee at the start of the day, so they're happy to
yeah,
talk to a customer, and you probably teach them that
yeah,
customer is the main thing,
100%.
and yeah, we wanna make sure our customers are happy, and that's the main thing.
The example I give them, is we've all been to around my area here. There's a franchise of steakhouses. It's called Outback Steakhouse, and
Hmm.
they're probably one on every corner. And then we've all been to that one old school steakhouse that's been around for the last 40, 50 years. That you go in there, just the ambiance is to die
And it's
for. It's nice and cozy. You got a fire burning.
yeah,
It smells good. The persons are dressed to the nine, and they're addressing you by your last name. They're, just the experience you get at one of those nice old school steakhouses versus an Outback Steakhouse, franchise steakhouse that could at
definitely.
that point go over and it's kind of hit or miss. You know what I mean? Is night and day. And so if we can replicate
Yeah.
that same process in the automotive industry where they get that wow service, it's very hard for corporate to compete with that.
Hmm. No, that's a great analogy. I like that. I like that. So we kind of touched on the industry trends about the shortage of skilled workers. What are the other major shifts you're seeing in the auto body repair industry?
Shortage of workers, really watching materials because materials can go up really fast at
Yeah.
the drop of a dime. Um, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen as far as with these tariffs right now. If that's going
Yeah.
to impact us as
That's
far as being able to get parts or not.
yeah.
I'm a little concerned with that. Um, the What I'm noticing also is, and I think most shop owners have noticed this, is the amount of admin and clerical work it's required nowadays. It's insane. I remember, like I said, years ago, you could go over and for like every technician, every like two, three technicians, you need one admin person because things were much more
Hmm.
simpler. Now, with all the documentation that's required for ordering parts, communication with insurance companies, authorizations from customers, to just dotting your I's and crossing your T's is insane to where it's almost now 2 to 2.5 admin people, staff people in your front office for every one technician.
Hmm.
It's a lot. So I've
Definitely.
watched that change. Shortage of technicians is definitely like still a problem. Right now, currently, these last couple of months, I've stressed the point that slow seems like nationwide right now, but even California has gotten pretty slow as well too, where I have not seen technicians apply at my shop ever. Never. I mean, like I said, it was
You have
just
to
always
find
you're
them.
trying to find technicians, but I've
Yeah.
been very blessed. I don't have to really recruit people, but like I said, you just don't see that. And you got
Hmm.
I can go back to my email on Monday morning and I can see I'll have like 2 or 3 people applying. And at that point, they see that we're busy in the back of the shop, that we're I'm always running ads because I'm always interviewing.
Hmm.
At that point, so like I said, it's definitely changed. It's changed. It's, so definitely times to be worried about. But like I said, it'll filter out. It's just like I said, you just got to be on top of your game right now.
Definitely, definitely. And just to go back to that, you go to the high school, you give them little background information on kind of what you guys do. You bring them food. That's just a huge
Yeah,
opportunity for the high school students themselves to get a little
yeah, that,
touch on kind of
yeah.
what the industry is like. And you probably bring them on for co-op class, like they come in and like try
Yeah.
it for a semester. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's great, and
Yeah.
that just
That,
gives them the experience to see if that's what they like, if that's what they want to do. And with the way that you guys run your shop and how great you are to your employees, they can see that this is how they should be treated when
yeah.
working at a shop like this.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We also have a relationship established with our local community college that offers a program for autobody and paint. The teacher,
Awesome.
Laura, is a personal friend of mine, and I've known her for years. So for some kids that decide they want to know, go to school and hone in on their skills more, don't
Hmm.
want to put in the dues of, can't necessarily start from the ground up, would prefer to start a little more advanced position, they'll go to Contra Costa College. And Laura's done a fabulous job of teaching them from removal installation to body work, paint work, estimating, prepping, polishing, detailing.
That's awesome.
And so myself, I'm involved with her. My son Giovanni will go down there and he'll give discussions to the class because he's an estimator as well. And so he'll go
Hmm.
down there and talk to them and relate to them. And so when they see him, he's 22, they're like, oh wow, that could be me. If he's doing it, human beings
Definitely.
we're creatures of habit. And when we see someone else doing it, well, if he can do it, why can't I do it? Instead
Exactly.
of like an old dog like me, they go and they say, oh, well, he's been doing it for years. But when they see somebody young, like my son, they're like, wow, he's doing it. And he speaks my language. Now they really, focus in on like, okay, how do I get in there? You know what I mean?
Definitely. No, that's nice that it's local, and obviously it helps you as a small business owner, and it just helps the community as well. It helps the young ones coming
100%.
up have the
Yeah.
opportunity to try something new.
Yeah.
So we touched on this question I'm going to ask you. With the question is, what do you believe sets California Collision apart from competitors? Obviously, your customer service and the way you treat your employees, but what's something else that sets you apart from the other companies?
It's the fact that it's a quality of service. You're absolutely right. And the number one thing is that when someone comes in my mind, that's not customer or repair order number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Mr. and Mrs. Jones that's been to us 3 times, has sent his neighbor, his 2 kids,
That's
his
amazing.
brother to me. And at that point, when they come in there, we take the time to talk to them just for a few minutes. Hey, how things been?
Yeah,
Oh, no way. Your kids going to school where? Really? Oh, okay, cool. Really, were you going on vacation? You know what I mean? It's just
that's
taking
great.
the time
You
to
make it
like
more
maintain those
personal with the
relationships, man.
customer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I got
awesome.
some of my older customers, a gentleman by the name of Gary Monzo. Love the guy. Older Italian
Yeah.
gentleman. He comes by just to talk. His car's not even fixed. He'll sometimes try to create work to just hang out, have a cup of coffee, and talk with us. Oh yeah, I was
That's
thinking about
awesome.
getting this repair done on my truck. I'm looking at his truck. I'm like, it's immaculate. What's wrong with it? Well, you see that one little scratch right there? Yeah, I was thinking about getting it fixed. And then we'll talk about that for 2 minutes. And then he wants to talk about how life's been, his travels to Germany with his wife and stuff like that. So it's taking that time to establish and keep those relationships because in business, if you like someone and trust someone, price doesn't
that's
become a
the
factor.
that's the biggest
Price only
contributor.
becomes a factor when you drop the ball. When you
Yeah.
drop the ball and you don't live up to your clients or your guests' expectation, That's when they start shopping around saying, you know what, maybe I should go to ABC Autobody. Maybe I should go somewhere else because they weren't as friendly as last time. Or they didn't take the time to clean my carpet or talk with me after the repairs. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's really big with as far as us doing that and being heavily involved with the community. I mean, like I said, it's called the Tri-Valley, which is Pleasanton, Livermore, Dublin. But I'm very heavily involved in any community events that are going on. To as far as local discussions with my chamber, to when they have parades. I mean, you name it, I'm in it. Yeah.
You're looking out for the community itself, and you're just looking out for the people in the community. Like,
Yeah,
that's
man.
great.
Yeah.
And when you talked about the customer that came in and you kept it more on a personal level, if you go to bigger shops, bigger repair centers, they're gonna be talking to someone different probably every time, and they don't have the time to speak to their customer, and that you sit down and actually have a conversation with them about their personal life and what they want to talk about. It makes them feel appreciated that they're bringing you work, and that's the biggest thing. You have to make your customer feel appreciated that they're coming in. That's awesome. So we're going to start talking about some goals for the company and some challenges, obviously. What are some of the biggest challenges facing the auto body industry, and how do you address them?
With these insurance companies pulling out of California, they've become a lot more frugal. If you thought it was hard dealing with insurance companies, the last couple of years, it's only going to get worse. I attend summits and gathering of body shops with different parts of the United States, and we probably meet on a quarterly basis to see how things are going. We'll have sometimes guest speakers there. And like we were kind enough to have as our guest some of the people from corporate from CCC1, which is a database management software that I would say probably 85-90% of us in the automotive industry use. And they were explaining how claims right now are down nationwide a little over 30%, which therefore impacts all of us. So therefore, with that being said, there's going to be, like I said, less work out there, and you're really going to have to hone in on your skills to separate yourself. The sad truth of the reality is that there's going to be a lot of shops that don't want to invest in the training or the certification to propel their business into the next step or next chapter. A lot of them are just going to say, you know what, I'm done with this, and I'm going to sell. So at that point, that's what I see coming down the turnpike. And the insurance companies are going to get harder to deal with AI coming in right now. It's moving at a rapid pace, even in our industry.
Yeah, sure.
So it's knowing how to go over and use that to your advantage, and not be intimidated by it, but be receptive to it.
Yeah,
and so at that point, like I said, it's going over and setting yourself a niche. That at that point goes over and allows you to kind of carve out your space in the industry. There's always going to be those big shops out there. But like I said, if you go over and you put that quality of work and service out there, the community will support you, and they'll support you over those larger MSOs. So
definitely
don't be intimidated by them. This business is still a good business. It still makes good money. It's not easy. But surround yourself with, a good network of people, of other body shop owners. Join a coaching group, and at that point, so you're not in it by yourself. And it's about working smarter, not harder. We've really dove deep into getting our OEM certifications. We just finished getting Kia and Hyundai certified, and we're now going after Nissan and Subaru this year. And what we want to do at that point is offer our technicians and our employees the best training possibly known. So it's very hard for the insurance company to sit there and tell you they're not going to pay you for something, because at that point you are the certified body shop. You are the one that's trained. And so at that point it's in black and white. If at that point, hey, I need to do this particular procedure to a vehicle, and I have the OEM vehicle manufacturer position statement that states it, why are you not going to paint it? Or why are you not going to pay it? And the thing about it is educating the consumer beforehand. Going over, talking to the consumer, letting them know, look, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Here's a supplement that we found on your vehicle based on the disassembly of the vehicle. We discovered this damage here. Here is the supplement. Here's the documentation from your dealership, from your vehicle manufacturer. It states this has to be done. Is it okay if we submit on your behalf? Yeah, George, it looks great. That seems legit to me. I like it. Great detailed photos. The explanation is black and white. Let's go for it. So you submit it. Now, if the insurance company denies that, how do you think your customer's going to feel? They're going to be pissed because you already took the time to educate them and show them what has to be done. And now all of a sudden the insurance company say no. Well, it's now the insurance versus me and the customer because the customer's on board. Instead of the traditional method is we submit the supplement, don't let the customer know nothing. And when all of a sudden shit blows up in our face, now all of a sudden the customer's like, well, why didn't you tell me what's going on? Why am I being involved halfway through the fight?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's the biggest thing with any automotive industry, like even technicians, is if you can help your customer understand kind of what you did and go over what you did, kind of what was the issues on the car, what you did to fix them, kind of some little things maybe they'll need next year, or just even help them learn. Be like, oh, we did an oil change. They pop the hood. You kind of show them what the oil filter is, because a lot of people don't know what that is. If you can spread knowledge to your customer about what you're doing and just their car itself, and especially with you explaining kind of what you did, kind of little ideas that need fixed, like it just gives confidence in the customer that you did the proper job, and they'll come back to you, and they have no issues to not you did nothing wrong because you showed them exactly what you did.
You know what? Something that works really good with, believe it or not, that what you're saying is with our female guests. Because they're already some of them are out of their element, out of their comfort zone. Like, oh, no, I have my husband deal with this, or my dad helps me with this, or my brother. I don't know anything about mechanic stuff. No, I understand, but come back here. Let me show you. Your vehicle's disassembled. You don't have to be a mechanic. You don't have to be automotive inclined. Let me just show you here. This is your fender, and you touch it. This is damage. This has to be. You see where it's ripped here, or this is your fender liner. Oh wow, and you're taking the time to show them. We're visual people, and a lot of people are very receptive to when you show them that at that point you go over and you're willing to take the time to explain them the process. And so when they see that, you're building rapport and trust with your customers. My estimators / service advisors, when we're meeting somebody for the first time, they're required to ask all of our guests, you got 2 more minutes? Would you like me to give you a quick tour of the shop?
That's great.
Like, you're going to go show us? Like, goes on behind closed doors? Yeah, we're going to go show you. And so I'm very, very picky about my shop being clean at all times.
Clean, yeah.
Because at that point, when I do that, I'm opening up my doors to you. I'm showing you how we operate things. Exactly. If I take pride in my shop like this, and you see how I keep my area clean, my equipment wiped down, my equipment organized, and when you walk through my shop, you're like, wow, this is nothing what I thought. I thought I was going to see a bunch of dirty cars with Bondo, with the calendars of half-naked ladies up here, but this is like clean, man. Like, wow. And if you're willing to do that, I can only imagine how you're going to take care of my vehicle.
Exactly. If you show the customer how you take care of your shop, which it's a shop, like you work in the shop. If you show them how you take care of a shop, they're going to know that you're going to take care of their vehicle with 100%. Even more care. That's a huge contributor. So you touched on AI a couple minutes ago. Mm-hmm. How do you think AI is going to change the industry, and what, like, obviously it's everything with AI is the past 3 months, it's boomed like crazy. Everything is growing so fast. Do you think the companies that harness the AI will be further ahead in the long run, or do you think companies have to start looking into it now?
I think it's going to be another tool. Yeah, I think it's going to be another tool that's going to help you. For example, like in our industry right now, the estimating software, I can send you a link to your cell phone, and within like 3 seconds, my website spits back an estimate, a broad range between, let's say, 2,500 and 3,200. And every time it's getting smarter and smarter. And so what it does is when you send that link, when you take those photos and upload them to my website, it correlates with the database from thousands of cars, same year, make, and model that involve a similar collision. And an AI can do it so fast that boom, it goes back and gives you an estimate. So, and then at that point, what it does lets us know as estimator, hey, we just sent a preliminary estimate, so-and-so customer, you may want to follow up with them. And now we can go in there, do a more detailed estimate and really find out how ready is the customer to fix their vehicle? Are they just shopping around, or are they at that point, like ready to pull the trigger and like get their vehicle fixed in their ASAP?
That's
I
great.
see that being a huge factor. I've watched, at one point I did have several DRPs, and I watched one of our DRPs, the insurance companies start downsizing their workforce. We used to have at one point like 12 people in a particular department. From 12, it went down to 8, down to 4, down to 2. And what they did is use AI to kind of, go over and eliminate some of those jobs and streamline the process. So that I watched, happen. I remember at one point, one of our insurance companies, I believe it was AAA Insurance, you could upload an estimate and it was approved in like literally 3 seconds. You're like, oh, that was fast. That was done by a human. You know what I mean? And so at that point, we were able to see that. So it was small repairs. But then they've also been certain things where they're still having to kind of to tweak it and hone in on it. Because me and my team said, okay, let's see how we can mess with this AI. So we went over and we started on bumpers. Okay, plastic. We start saying, oh yeah, corrosion protection for half an hour, weld through primer 0.5, and then thinking like, and sure, boom, gets the scepter back. We're like, sweet, bumpers from now on, we're gonna start charging corrosion protection, And so you can find ways on how to manipulate the system, and they immediately turned it off because they said they had to do some, I don't know, work on it or something like that. But so it's going to be coming whether you like it or not. It's just,
Definitely.
Human beings by nature, we're scared of change. So it's like, don't be scared of it. Just be receptive to it. Find out how can it help your business. And for my guys and my older guys out there, man, that are like, oh man, I'll mess around with computer stuff or whatnot. Get your younger guys to do it, man. Because trust me, they learn a lot faster. Like, it took me a lot longer to learn how to be able to scan a vehicle, do a pre-post scan, how to calibrate it, than my son, who's 22, and he was able to pick up just like that. To him, it was just like playing with his iPhone. And for me, I'm an older dog, so it takes me longer to learn. But get your younger guys to learn it, and then they'll take the time to teach us.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you touched on it perfectly. AI, it's going to be a tool that we're all going to have to get used to using, and it's going to make everything more efficient. It's going to make everything a little bit easier, and I think it's going to split the difference between your regular shop and even for customer service base. Like AI there's so many programs that are just out there for CRM, customer relations. And it's great. I think it's going to be a great change as long as you know how to use the tool and use it properly. And even like what you said being someone that's older that doesn't know technology very well, you can even use the AI to help you learn about the tool. Like, it's pretty crazy what you can use the AI to learn about other AI tools. Like, it's pretty cool how that works as well. So I think as long as you know how to use it properly, you can be a genius. But if you abuse it, I don't think as long as you don't abuse it, that's the biggest thing.
100%. I mean, we've used even like I think you're familiar with Chat GPT. And then sometimes I'll get pissed off or with an insurance company trying to beat us up on a sheet, an estimate. And I really want to say, go blank, 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 da, 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 da. But you know what, Chat GPT, here, I'd like to do this. And it puts it in a very nice, eloquent manner, how we'd like to get paid for something. So it does come into play, man.
It's huge. I think it's going to make a big difference, even in the next 6 months. Like, the changes we've seen the past 3 is pretty crazy. So speaking of the next 6 months, where do you want to be in the next 6 to 12 months? Like, what are some of the bigger goals that you're looking?
Sure. So always be growing, man. Like I said, like my immediate goals right now are the 2 additional OEM certifications I want to get. I want to grow my sales. I understand things are quiet right now, but I don't care. I'm still I'm going to make it happen one way or another. I haven't figured out how I'm going to make it happen, but I'm going to make it happen. But at that point, grow my sales. Grow my profit margins. It's about working smarter, not harder. Making more time to go out there and network, and then go over, get somebody trained. I would say probably about 6 to 8 months, get somebody trained to replace me, and so that we can go back out. And as a business owner, my job, I try to tell when sometimes my manager or my son, like, hey, so I explain to everybody what their role is, their position, and my role is, like I explained, if you're using an analogy and we're all together like on this canoe, and we're all rowing together on the canoe and making our way as fast as we can downstream. and then you
Yeah.
see a hole that comes in, and now it's seeping water inside your canoe. My job as the CEO is to plug that hole as fast as possible, so that way we don't take on water and we continue to get downstream as efficiently as fast as
Keep
possible.
moving.
Keep moving. So that, so that's my job, and that consists of anything from implementing ideas for production, and implementing ideas for as far as financial, new ideas, new standard operating procedures, meeting with my team regularly, and then just continue to grow in that direction. But we're very much heavily, like I said, also continue to train my staff so that way they can be able to go over and put out a better product.
That's great. I love how it always comes back to your staff. Like that's huge. You never if you I've talked to a couple companies, and some of them don't mention much about their staff. So to know that you're looking out for your staff, you're looking out to make sure they're all doing good, they're all happy, they're all making the money that they're hoping to be making. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
great. I love that for you guys.
Yeah, I wish I could find a way and I'm trying to find a way how my guys can pay less taxes, man, because I feel bad for them, and especially I don't know what the tax rate is there in Canada. In California, they're killing us on taxes, man. So I
Yeah,
feel bad
same
for my
here.
guys. Yeah, I feel bad for my guys that, like I said, they put in good work, and all of a sudden a huge, especially some of my younger guys that don't, are not married or have any kids, and they're just getting killed on taxes, man. So,
Yeah.
I'm still trying to see if I can find a way, and if I do find something, I'll be sure to let you know.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, looking ahead at later California collision, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave in the Tri Valley area? Is your
Well,
son thinking on taking
yeah,
it
yeah.
over as well?
So the legacy, man, I'd love to leave is at that point, you know what I mean, that a small business owner made a huge impact in his community. And thanks to his community, he's been able to, live and work and thrive in the place where he offers this service to as far as his employees. I would like to
Mm-hmm.
see the California Collision grow a little more. I'd like to expand if we could. I don't necessarily know I'd want to offer multiple locations. I haven't swallowed that pill yet. I understand that, as any business owner, you want to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I just, like I said, and I don't knock anybody that's done it, because I know a lot of people, friends of mine that own multiple shops, that they're doing quite well. Just for me, it's that I know for that quality of service. For me, I feel it seems to kind of get a little bit diluted when you start, the owner's no longer present overseeing it, as much as you try to implement a culture when the owner's
Yeah.
not there. I would like to see our business grow a little bit more. I think, honestly, like I said, that's my goal, is to grow this year another 20%, minimum 20%. I'd like to see us
That's great.
grow with the existing team that we have. I think it's definitely attainable, and just a matter of going over and really taking the time to write detailed sheets and understanding what the requirements are to fix a car, and making sure you get charged for it. And if you
Yeah.
can do that, you don't have to do a bunch of volume.
No, that's great. I love how you're shooting big, and you're gonna you're aiming big, and you're gonna shoot big. I love the confidence behind that. I love everything about it. That's great.
Yeah, man.
Um, so looking back on your journey in the automotive space, what are some of the most important lessons you've learned, and what advice would you give to entrepreneurs entering the auto body repair space?
I would say the things I've learned, man, is as far as, God gave you two ears and one mouth for a reason. Listen, learn, soak in as much as you can. You can just learn as much as you can, and your industry.
Yeah.
Don't chase the money. The second you chase the money, your mission in life becomes shallow, without meaning or purpose. If you
Mm-hmm.
master your art, I don't care what you're doing, the money and success comes.
It's gonna
But
come.
don't chase the money. If you chase the money, like I said, it's a very shallow mission that you're trying to fulfill. And like I said, so just master as far as your art. I would say anybody getting into the automotive industry, go over and learn. Surround yourself with the basics. Get into your local high school or junior college program, and there is a lot of money to be made in this industry. If you go over, like I said, I've got a couple of my technicians are making high six-figure income. Like I said, and we offer them an hourly pay plus bonus incentive. too, where they're doing very well for themselves. And I really don't care what they make. The more money you make, the more money the shop's making. So I
Yeah.
want them to brag about their friends, like, hey, look, I'm making this kind of money with no college degree. You know what I mean? And so that's what I want. I would say at that point, anybody get into the industry, own it, find a shop that has room for growth that you can grow with them. And then at that point, because if you can grow with them, they have a program that allows you to scale and move up the ladder. Then at that point, then you have a good work ethic and drive. You'll grow with them and save yourself a ton of money of having to go and get yourself into debt to some of these trade schools.
Yeah.
I would also at that point, go over and interview the owner, the manager, just as much as they're going to interview them. Ask them questions. Feel free to ask them questions, because if all of a sudden the shop is not willing to answer your questions, well, then how do you know they're the right fit for you? In
Yeah.
order for that business relationship to work out, it has to be a symbiotic like relationship that works for both parties. Because if I help you get what you get and I get what I want, then we both grow together. I know sometimes what we've done in the past when we've interviewed people, I've asked the person I'm interviewing, hey, would you like to go talk to some of my employees, see what it's like? Go straight here from the horse's mouth. Instead of just, from me telling you I'm
That's
the greatest thing since sliced bread, go talk to my guys. See what they tell you. You know what I mean? And then
No, that's
so you say,
huge.
oh, hey, how long have you been working here? How do you like it? What's the boss like when he gets mad? Or what's it like as far as days off? Or I'll ask all those questions. You know what I mean? And so that way we make sure we're a good fit for each other.
And that's the biggest thing, is if you're speaking one-on-one with some of the employees that have been working there for, like, if there's guys that have been there for since you've started, so you've
Yeah,
been in business now for 15 years, right?
yeah, yeah.
2010 you said you started
Over
off?
50. Yeah,
Yeah, so over 15 years. If there's someone that's been there for 15 years, you ask them questions. Obviously, he's had a great experience because he's been there for so long.
yeah,
But if all the techs have only been there, oh, I've been here for 2 years, I've been here for a year and a half, it might not be the best spot to go, because why is everyone such a new employee? And they might not tell you, but they also might tell you kind of
yeah,
the bads about working in this location. So I love how you during your interviews you push them to go talk to the technicians.
yeah, yeah.
That's great. I love that. That was great. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, all
I'm out
good,
of
man. Like I
questions.
said, I'm glad, brother. Hey, man, like I said, you got any questions, let me know. And like I said, we'll keep in touch and I'll keep you posted,
Definitely.
man. Like I said, it's not going to get any easier, man. I talked to insurance agents. They're talking about 2027, brother. It's going to be rough.
Holy cow.
So yeah, 2027, where
And
the insurance companies have not put enough money in reserves for the constant evolving of vehicles nowadays. Think about all these vehicles nowadays with all these body control modules and cameras and sensors and
mhm,
and whatnot. It's a lot more expensive to fix a vehicle nowadays. And so like I said,
definitely.
they at that point they're going over. They're going to continue to raise up our fees. They're going to continue to go over. So it's going to be a tough ride. But I'll tell you what, the shop owners that make it through this are going to be in for a long ride, and it's going to be a prosperous ride. But just hang in there,
It's
man.
gonna it's gonna keep the shops that are actually committed to helping their customers and obviously love their job, where the shops that aren't committed to helping their customers, they don't obviously love the customers, they don't love the business, they're going to be the ones that are slowly going to move their way out of it.
Yeah, 100%, one hundred
That's
percent.
awesome. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to share your insights and experiences with our listeners. You
Yeah,
have so much expertise just being an entrepreneur and being in the auto body industry. Like you've so much experience and so many great insights to give to the listeners, and lots of valuable information. So I hope
all
you'll
good,
come
brother. Like I
back
said,
and join us again in the future.
I sure will, brother. Thank you for having me on here, man.